animation update or any videos in a very long time. So I decided to redo my animation tutorial pretty quickly and show a little bit of things that lessons learned, the things that I've learned to do things a lot faster. And yeah, let's go. First off, I'm going to state that there's really two ways of doing it, and that is making the animation inside of your Blender, and it's something that I don't recommend. But if you're a masochist and about that life, then there'll be a bonus tutorial at the end here. And the other way is using external programs such as Cascaduer or Unreal or Unity, doing it inside of there to be able to get you the best renders and or importing animations and modifying them for your liking. And those are the recommendations that I am recommending. So yeah, let's hop into it. So this is Mixamo. So Mixamo is a free website again that you just sign up with your email and you have access to hundreds of animations. Each of them range from quite a few categories. Now you can use some of the animations that they have on there, and or you can use them as a jump off point for an animation that you want to make, and just tweak it a bit to kind of fit what your purpose is. I said hundreds. When you go and you click into an individual one, you'll notice that you have 57 total frames here. You can trim the frame size, you can make it faster, shorter, uh, longer, the direction. You can change all kinds of things, really. It's fantastic. It's great for beginners. You kind of get something similar to what you want, and then you go ahead and you edit it joint by joint because, as I said, there is no rig for the PDX skeleton as of yet. And the difference between having a rig and not having a rig is when you have a rig, you move one bone and all the bones that are connected to it move as they should. If you don't have a rig, you have to move each individual joint, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So this is Mixamo. The other website I want to talk about is Cascaduer, and this is one, if you want to make an animation from scratch, this is what I've started to use because it's the easiest, and I'm lazy like that. I like easy things. They have a website. Well, let me go ahead and say I'm not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form at all. It's free, kind of gaming the system, and I'll show you why here. so essentially, Cassador, you have they have their own YouTube channel where they show tons of documentation, tutorial videos. You can learn. You can literally make your own animation in seconds. Um, and it's sounding like a commercial. It's not a commercial, I promise. So the free one is basic. Here, complete animation tool set. You can export max 300 frames. Let me tell you, that is twice as much as you will need for any CK3 animation. 120 joints, that's way more than you need, but in case you want to make something super crazy, like I don't know, Dragon or something where they have tons of joints, maybe that might exceed, but you don't need to animate every joint inside Cascador. Free for commercial use under 100K. Us modders don't get paid shit, so that's not a problem. But of course, if you're a baller like that and you want to go pro, yeah, that's probably the best thing. The cool thing that they don't really mention here is when you go pro, you have access to the digits, so that it's each individual fingers. So when you make your own rig, you'll have like access to be able to mold the fingers, and like when you close a hand, the whole hand will close. But aside from hands, it's really not an issue, which is why I think some of the big issues are when you retarget into Blender are the hands, because I mean that's something that we can't do in a decent rig here or even with automated rig here. So this is Cascadeur here, and what I've done was let's go home. All I did was click on standard male model. There's all kinds of models you can use. And here they have the complete rig located here. And what you do is, this is the difference right here. See how I move one bone and all of it just kind of bends the way it should? That's why you want a rig. That's why you make all your animations here and you don't tool with anything else. You know, you kind of have it like that. Like it's just all normal. It's much easier to make. And then with even with that, I mean, I'm not going to go into their whole tutorial. They have a whole tutorial on how to do things in seconds. They have the IK controller. They have physics, I believe it is, where you actually have your own like auto physics with your timeline. You can literally learn this system in 2 minutes. If you're gonna make an animation from scratch, use Cascaduer. The features are free, and you're only doing it for mods. Yeah, if you're making your own game, you might want to use something different. But for like mods, I mean, yeah, you're not getting paid for mods. You want to use something free, and it's great because you can really do a whole lot with this. And I think I'll leave the link to their YouTube channel. There's literally like tons. Didn't mean to do all that, but yeah, there's literally tons of different type of things that you can learn how to do and animate people, and they go through animating scenes with videos. In case you want to copy like a video, you can actually have the video up there and then match it. It's fantastic. This is what you do. So once you're done with that, you can just export it as FBX, same as with the Mixamo here, where you export it for FBX without the skin, and then you're ready to import inside of Blender. Those are the two methods that I recommend. You retarget from Mixamo, either Unity or Unreal, and you import it and you fix it up, or you create your own. And that's what I would recommend Cascaduer. I've tried many programs. I've tried that one. That's the easiest for the price. Just free. Okay, so now that you're in Blender and you notice like I have this thing here, and I think I was in the process of animating the Sword and Shield series that I have. So let me just save this real quick. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. You know what? I'm just going to do a new one. So, and you have your new Blender thing, and you delete it. And now you want to come here and you want to come here to Blender PDX Tools. And what you want to do is import the mesh. I've already have a shortcut here to my mesh, my male body mesh. What Paradox has done tremendously is they have a skeleton now that retargets everything from in the male body asset. So if you create an animation for the male body and you put it inside the skeleton, and I'll show you where that's at later, it'll automatically retarget to boy, girl, and woman. So you don't need to redo your animations for every single thing. And that was fantastic. Whoever did that at Paradox, you're amazing. You make everybody's life so much easier. The big issue with that was, of course, the women had the smaller frames, and every single time you made an animation for a male and you tried to use it for the female, their shoulders would be all wonky and weird. So yeah. So now you have the rig and the body. And what I used to do from here is I used to pair it, but you don't even need to pair it. There's so many things that I've learned just in doing things that you don't even need to do that. So once you have an FBX, you have your FBX, you just import it. And I think I have all my animations here. So let's do run backwards. So now I have my run backwards. You won't be able to see it because it's way down here, but I don't really care what it looks like there because I'm just going to use my retargeting. Retarget from the source, which is root. There's only one option. You can't really mess that up. I say that, right? I say that, but some of you, I'm just joking. I mess up so many times. It takes so long to get right. And even these bone listings, and I'm gonna go kind of slow so you can take a look at it. These are the bone listings that you want to pair. If you don't know these, you're gonna experience a lot of trial and error. Go slow so you can pair it, and then I'll go over. what a rig actually looks like when you actually zoom in and you make that big and you kind of see why this equals this. Okay, so now you went through that. Essentially, what you'll want to do is you'll want to get like, say, like, click this and want to press S just to lift it up. And wow, that is a lot. So let me go back here. And a lot of these bones, you can't really tell what they are without the mesh or without the actual person in front. So yeah, let me not do that. But when you have a mesh, what you want to do is literally you want to grab it and you want to move it to the side so that you can actually see, okay, this bone corresponds to this bone. So in particular, all these are pretty much the same: calf, knee. There's a few different ones, but you'll need a mesh and the skeleton that you're retargeting from to be able to look at it and see, okay, well, this corresponds to this bone because this is where it should be. And let me go back and shrink it to where it was. And let me hit retarget in rest. So I did that now, and because all those bones match up to the corresponding skeleton that I have, I can just delete this. But before I do that, frames. So I want to make sure that the original animation was 18 frames. My animation is going to be 18 frames. And then I could delete the root because I no longer need that animation. I've already taken its data from it. And this is what he looks like. So he's walking backwards with his sword and his shield. You can't really see it here, but when we import it in game, you'll be able to see it. So that's 18 frames. You see how you'll never break that 300 frame limit on Cascaduer because you can do so much with just 18 frames. And a lot of this stuff is basically done for you. Like I said, they have so many tutorials that are amazing. I'm just taking it from, you have the FBX and so on and so forth. Okay, so what you want to do is go back to 0 frame or 1 frame and then take a look at your animations, because like I said, either Cascaduer or Unreal, the hands will never look well. Like for instance here, you won't be able to see it, sure, because of the shield or the sword or whatnot, but whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, you look here and some of these separations just aren't right. There's two things you need to look at. One is going to be the dope sheet. So the dope sheet has all your bones here, and each frame of when there's movement will be represented by a dot. So if you don't want that movement in that frame, all you have to do is delete that dot from where you're actually at. If you look here, there's some movement in the right hand index. I'm not sure if I want that because all these other ones are just fine. So let's just delete that and see what happens. I say that because I have no idea what's about to happen. Oh, look, it looks more normal. The index finger does anyways. Index. So basically you can go to your dope sheet and then try to like identify the anomalies going on here. And that is the dope sheet. Another thing is, let's say you want to kind of make a play on this animation that you have here, and my guy back right, he's running back here, and don't want half to move. You just want the legs to move. That would be another thing for the dope sheet. You just look at all the bones that are above the thigh, and then you just delete the animation, and it'll stay into the animation that it was before. Or let's say you have a standing character and you just want the top moving, you would do that. So basically, this is just 18 frames. Every movement by that bone is actually listed in here. If you don't want that movement at that frame, you just delete it. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is a little bit of manual. So if you grab from the side, another window will pop up, and I do that just so that I can go into, not the timeline, go into nonlinear animations. And here's what I want to do. I want to press this down so I don't see all these individual keyframes. And do this when you're towards the end. Essentially, you've already done what you wanted to do. You have one base layer. So now here, what you're going to want to do if I can get this. Okay, you want to combine it. Okay, so when you have your animation data and your action, you want to combine, because what I'm doing right now is I'm combining what's here versus what I'm about to put on top. And what I'm doing on top is just an adjustment on the bottom layer. So it'll blend it automatically. So now that I'm doing combined, I want to go back to my one, and I want to take a look at this weird pinky thing. And kind of adjust this just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into pose mode, and I'm going to click this bone in particular, and then I want to rotate it so that it goes inward. So now when I'm making that adjustment here on one, I want to make sure that it stays without. Even if you move it, it won't save unless you hit I, and you want to save the location, rotation, and scale. I always use as a rule. So in case anything I did that affects the other thing, it'll just stay there. It'll stay throughout the entire frame. So I've made an adjustment here, and now you'll notice back over here, there's a mark on frame one. And if you go into the dope sheet, oh, this is for the blended action, which is why I said you use the dope sheet at the beginning and then you go back so you don't have this issue. But you'll see it, it's marked here, and it's being blended in. So now what you'll have is it'll, can't really see it fast, but yeah, it's staying there without. So when you want to tweak things like that, you want to tweak this, let's say this should go a little bit more in and should be a little bit more to the right. You go through here, you want to tweak it on one actually. But yeah, let's say you want to tweak each individual bone, that's fine. Just make sure you save it. And this is going to be the biggest pain in the ass for you, the hands. But once you do that, I think it's pretty simple, especially once you get the hang of it, of how things should look. Just save them all at frame one, and then you're good to go. There it is. That is the basics of editing individual joints, and see how it's such a pain in the ass. Now, it's it's a huge, it's not that huge of issue on the hands. If you want to create your own from here, as I said, if you love torture and you want to torture yourself because you've done bad things in your life, then I suggest you do something uh like animating each joint inside here. But you can do it, it's just really sucks. um Holding your let's go into saving, holding your IO PDX rig here, you want to save it, and for me I'm going to save it for running back. Oh, and it's going to give me an error because yeah, I'm in pose mode. But make sure you go back to object mode when you do this, and then no issues. And now you have this animation in here. So as you know, the dot anims, if you're watching this video, hopefully you have some kind of awareness as to, animation for CK3. Once you have the anims in there, um, you have to put it inside of the asset file which you want, and I'll go over that now. All right, so inside of your game folder or inside of your mod, there'll be games, you'll see something like that. You want to go into graphic. So if you're doing this from a mod standpoint, you don't need to go into like game or nothing. You'll just have your mod, and then you'll create a folder called graphics, models, um, portraits, and then male body. And then what you want to do is you want to copy this male body over to your mod, and then along with the structure. and edit it there. Don't ever edit it inside of the game log like I'm about to do. Well, sure, I trust Paradox. Take my money. Okay. All right, so now you have this, and this is what I was talking about here. Skeletal animation set. This is the retargeting method. You see, all feature animations go here for retargeting. This is perfect because your animation here, the animation name that you call it, goes into the type of where the animation set is. So that whatever SBS, whatever that I did, .nm will be right there. And you add it here and you put your body, emotion, sadness here. So everything inside this skeletal animation right here is good to go. And what you want to throw it in is you want to throw it inside of this PDX mesh. And this is where you originally would call it normally. This is you put in the PDX mesh like this, like this. But with the skeletal animation set, you throw it there, you'll be good to go. Entities. So these entities is where you actually call this thing. Let's say body emotion angry, right? So I'm just gonna control F, body emotion angry, body emotion angry. So this is where it gets called. So when you're creating your portrait, the state that you're actually gonna call is emotion angry. And what this does is goes into the animation and it calls body emotion angry. So that was linked to the skeletal animation. You won't see the name here. You see it when it gets called here at this animation. So emotion angry linked up to what we saw above in the skeleton. Looping, whether you want it looping or not, or after it plays, you want it to go to the next state, which is emotion angry. And so it goes into the next one, depending on where you have here. You can set it to looping, yes. You can set it to a chance, yes, because if they have the same name, such as AI compassion, AI compassionate, there's a chance that it's going to play one of two animations. So the chances here, chances 10, chances 5 that it's going to go here or here. If you don't have like fat or fat dwarf. I don't know why fat dwarf's emotion would be different than the fat guy's emotions, but there it is. So you can have a chance to say you want to have two things of the same name. You want to call one and hope that, hey, it could be this one or it could be this one. That's how you do it. You set two different states inside of the entity, and then you give it a chance, and then you give it to the state. So this basically loops all the way back. So it'll alternate. It could alternate between this one or that one. Or what they could have done was just do AI body compassionate chance and then make this a one and then next state a one. So it alternates between that one to the other one. Make this next state AI compassionate regular. So that way it goes back and forth. I don't know why you want to do the chance thing, especially when you can have one animation hit 10 times in a row rather than alternate and show some kind of different emotion every once in a while. But there you go. I think these characters were meant to be static anyway, so all the nonsense I'm doing with the animations is not really what was the intended purpose. I think these were supposed to be like just barely moving in Windows. So there you go. And that was pretty. That was a pretty. That was a crash course. It was pretty fast. I haven't had a whole lot of time to do any modding. Actually, I haven't done any modding like in close to a year. And then when I tried, my computer crashed. So I lost a whole lot of what I had already done, and getting back to it is kind of a pain in the ass. But I'm working through it. I'm working through my issues. Um, but yeah, I'm going back. I'm redoing all the animations that I had for the duels, which means sword and shield, two-handed. Uh, I don't know, quite a few different other animations I got working into the duels. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of working on now. If you have any questions on where to go here further, just ask in the video. Or ask in the comments. I'll put it down there if I haven't answered it before. I didn't go all the way to putting the animation inside, but that just kind of reflects the kind of time that I have right now. Bonus animation for masochist. All right, so here, let's go. Let's load the mesh. And this time, let's go to the female body and let's pull up the female mesh body. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load an animation and let's go here. Actually, let's go here because that's the only link that works. Let's go back to the female body. Okay, and now let's look for one to animate. All right, let's choose grief. I wonder what grief looks like. All right, let's let it load up. Okay, so this is what grief looks like. Let's this is perfect for what we want because I was talking in the chat about doing the Italian hand thing. Perfect because you want to do it with two hands, like when you're playing football and the guy's begging the referee not to give him a card, and he just wants to. Let's do this. Let's put up the Italian. This is hard. Okay, so first I'm going to go into non-linear animation to block that off, and then I'm going to go back to the video. Oh, wait. This is me going too fast, and I was going to mess something up. What I forgot to do was actually sit there and combined. That is so important. Otherwise, you're going to overwrite everything you just had because the default is replace. Okay, so lift it up like this. This is what it looks like. This next part here is very important because of the alternating wrist movement. You want to get your frames right. I think originally up here I did longer arm reaches, but then I shortened it up a little bit. But yeah, the point of doing alternating is to move the wrist back and forth. And here is the final product. What I did here is I realized that I put too much space in the hand. The hand is normally a little faster. I could make it a little bit faster, but yeah, this will do the job. All right, that's all for me.
Hey, hey, where's the freaking gabagoo? Ah, you motherfucker. You motherfucker, huh? Don't make me get the.